thank the Speaker. Madam Speaker, listening to some of our friends on the other side, I am struck sometimes with the idea of have you no shame. The crowd that brought us from record surpluses in 8 brief years to record deficits, have you no shame. The crowd that rode this economy, a healthy economy that was growing jobs, into the economic ditch, have you no shame. The crowd that oversaw the dismantling of strict enforcement of regulation and prevented regulation of the financial services industry to any great degree when it came to complicated financial instruments, and then is surprised at the results, have you no shame. Madam Speaker, today I rise to discuss the fiscal year 2010 budget and its critical importance to our nation's future. The latest estimate of our 2008 fourth quarter GDP decline is now 6.3%. After a record job loss of 681,000 in December, January and February losses both topped 650,000. Americans have lost their jobs in just the last 3 months. The Federal Reserve has estimated that GDP for the entirety of this year will decline between 0.5% and 1.3%, which underscores the dire need for action. Action, Madam Speaker. Every further contraction in our economy represents additional Americans who lose their jobs. President Obama has set a bold agenda to heal our ailing economy. While no one action will instantly fix the economic troubles we have been left by the Bush administration, the President and this Congress have taken a number of steps to put us on the path to recovery. Like many of my colleagues, I've already seen positive effects of the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act in my district. A community health center at risk of closing its doors received funding and is treating patients today. Local small businesses that were laying off workers are now rehiring them to complete transportation projects. But there's more to accomplish. President Obama's vision is transformative and provides for the critical investments in America that have been neglected for far too long. Deficit reduction, middle-income tax relief, health care reform, education and energy independence are the linchpin of the President's plan. Under President Obama's plan, at the end of 4 years, we'll have cut the current year's deficit of $1.8 trillion, most of it inherited from President Bush, by 2/3 to $586 billion. The fiscal year 2010 concurrent resolution on the budget reduces non-defense discretionary spending over the next 10 years to its lowest level as percentage of the GDP in almost 50 years. This Congress expects similar fiscal responsibility from the private sector, and that's why the Budget Committee cut $250 billion reserved for future financial sector bailouts. The President's vision supports the middle class by expanding the child tax credit, maintaining the elimination of the marriage tax penalty, carrying forward the Making Work Pay tax credit, maintaining the estate tax and capital gains tax reductions, and ensuring that the alternative minimum tax does not hit the millions of working Americans in danger of being affected. There are $1.5 trillion of tax cuts in this budget. The President's vision supports meaningful health care reform as well. Even as overall health care costs rose over the last 8 years, the number of Americans without health insurance increased from 13.7% of the population to 15.3%. Under the President's proposal, we'll be able to offer health care to the 46 million Americans currently without coverage. The President's vision invests in energy independence and promotes clean energy economy that creates jobs. For too long, a sustainable and clean energy policy has been ignored, and our dependence on foreign oil has grown. Increasing our investment in energy efficiency and renewable energy technologies will promote America's energy independence and safeguard our environment through a reduction of greenhouse gas production. In recognition of the critical role that education plays in our economic productivity, the President's budget builds upon the classroom support provided in the Recovery Act. From enhancing Head Start and other early childhood learning opportunities to making college more affordable through expanding Pell Grants, this budget will prepare our children to become productive contributing members of the global economy. In addition, the President's vision places national defense on a sustainable course, including a 4% increase in defense spending for fiscal year 2010. It includes enhanced support for our veterans, finally fulfilling the duty this country owes the service they have given. The President's vision prepares for the reauthorization of the transportation funding bill that will invest in transit and infrastructure projects throughout the country. Now, I'd like to confirm what is not in the concurrent resolution on this budget. Much has been made of the potential funding sources the President has listed in his blueprint. Madam Speaker, I'd point out the concurrent budget resolution that's scheduled to come before the full House does not increase taxes. In fact, would reduce them. It simply lays the foundation for fulfilling President Obama's vision and making the critical investments in America's future. Specific tax policies will be pursued by the tax writing committees of the Congress, where I expect further modifications.
The gentleman's time has